I want to read you this article that came out and explain something to you, so this is going to be short. Houthi missile attacks highlights what holds Abraham Accords together despite war. Despite regional tensions, the Abraham Accords have endured ongoing challenges with the UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, Sudan, maintaining ties with Israel to counter shared threats. On September 17, 1978, Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin and Egyptian President Anwar Sadat signed the historical Egypt-Israeli peace accord on the White House lawn under the beaming and watchful eye of the U.S. President Jimmy Carter. 3 years and 9 months later, on June 3rd, 1982, the First Lebanon War, a conflict that shook the region, broke out. Despite widespread calls throughout the Arab world for Egypt to sever ties with Israel and cancel the peace agreement, Cairo refused, seeing the treaty as vital to its national interests. As a result, the peace agreement endured that challenge and many others over the following 42 years. On September 15th, 2020, 4 years ago on Sunday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, United Arab Emirates Foreign Minister Abdullah bin Zayed, and Bahraini Foreign Minister Abdulatif bin Rashid signed normalization agreements known as the Abraham Accords under the beaming and watchful eyes of the U.S. President Donald Trump. 3 years and 1 month later, on October 7th, 2023, Hamas brutally attacked Israel, triggering the Israel-Hamas war that has since spread to 6 other fronts, despite widespread calls throughout the Arab world for the UAE and Bahrain, along with Morocco and Sudan, which normalized ties with Israel a couple of months later to sever ties and cancel the normalization agreements. They have refused, seeing the treaties as vital to their national interests. The Abraham Accords have withstood this significant challenge, given hope that they will, like the peace agreement with Egypt, survive regardless of the dramatic events that occasionally roll the region. The UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, and Sudan, 4 Arab states, did not cut off ties because of the war, though Latin America's Bolivia, Belize, and Colombia did. The 2 Arab Accord countries with ambassadors in Israel, the UAE and Bahrain, did not recall them because of the current war, though South Africa, Jordan, Turkey, Colombia, Chad, and Honduras did. That the Abraham Accords have survived this current region challenge intact is neither a given, a trifling matter, nor something that should be taken for granted. This is especially the case since there has been significant domestic pressure inside the UAE, Bahrain, and Morocco to scuttle their ties with Israel, as well as pressure from the other Arab and Muslim countries to do the same. Sudan is currently in the midst of a devastating civil war, and its focus is elsewhere. While Israel's ties with the UAE, Bahrain, and Morocco are not exactly what they were during the first 3 heady years of the agreement. Now, I could go on and on. The reason why this is important is because if you remember a few videos ago, maybe 4 or 5, I was talking about the peace agreement with the Antichrist and so on and so forth, and about how September 19th, or September 25th, 2019 brought back the Noahide laws, and how this was the Abraham Accords and so on and so forth. Okay, being in the midst where the Antichrist cuts it off. Well, this is 2024, and we see all these other countries have been fallen off of their record. They're going against what they signed. They're dropping out. They're coming up against Israel. Okay, and it does talk about this in the Bible, where Israel's going to be surrounded, right? And during this time, it says, because a lot of people believe that after the rapture, there's a 7-year peace agreement. That is not biblical. I don't care what anybody says. It is not in the Bible anywhere. And unless you absolutely prove it to me where it says that there's a 7 years after, then yeah. But this is what I'm talking about, the Abraham Accords and stuff, which is the agreement for these countries, and the Noahide laws, bringing about the covenant for the sacrifice and stuff. These are what it's talking about during, in the midst of that, it's going to be cut off, because we see, the sacrifices have been brought back. We see that the normalization ties, and no matter the wars and stuff, they're going to have to stick to it, but they're going to make a stricter type of covenant that all of them are going to be sticking to. Okay, so the point to that is in Daniel 9:24 on, with the covenant that is with many. This is a covenant with many, 2020, and it would lead, let's just say it is 7 years. It being cut off in the midst of that would be about 2024, guys. I mean, this is what I'm saying, in the midst of that being cut off. Okay, and that's why the elections are being the way they are, why the wars are happening. So people say, oh, there's got to be a time of peace. Well, there has been a time of peace. Okay, you didn't see all these wars and stuff start occurring. I mean, there's always been wars since the beginning of time, but the actual threat over the United States, over Israel, and where we are in Bible prophecy hasn't popped off as much as it has this year. You see what I'm saying? So all I gotta say is, I mean, this being extremely significant. And then I also wanted to show you this. So right here, major X4.5 solar flare erupts from AR 3825, producing Earth-directed CME. And this was, solar flare, active region, okay, started on 1513, ended at 1547. This is the fifth strongest solar flare of the cycle 25. I don't find this coincidental whatsoever. So anyways, this is part of the stuff I'm talking about. I mean, this is part of the information that I get. I don't believe everything I read, but I just find some of it interesting. 5 warning signs the economy is spiraled towards recession. Giant volcanoes bulging, scientists find. And then CEO of JP Morgan warns U.S. economic fate worse than recession, the worst outcome. The reason why I'm bringing all this up is because when Jesus comes back, everything gets twisted out of place, and we see the third seal, where it's the economic collapse, and the biggest solar flares. It's making people's hair fall out, heart palpitations, headaches, nausea, body aches, sore throat, so on and so forth. And this stuff is vital information to where we are, and the fact that all of this has been occurring in 2024, in the midst of everything, right at around the election time. And the thing is, these stuff is not all man-made. Okay, and we're also having plagues of flies and gnats and some creepy crawly bugs and things like that. And it's all biblical. Okay, all of this. The Abraham Accords, the Noahide laws, the wars, the volcanoes, the earthquakes in various places, and so on and so forth. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. They've been seeing alien activity. They've been seeing all kinds of stuff. So anyways, I just wanted to give you guys that information and pray over this as always. And I will see you there in the air. God bless.